Hi everyone, it's Helen here, your unit coordinator. I thought it would be a really good idea before we went into the live collab sessions next week and before we started to look a lot more closely at your assignment 1B to have a look at the purpose of a learning plan in the education context. This hopefully will give you a bit of a background so that it will help you to move forward and to plan appropriately for this next assignment. So this is just a short video just to give you some background knowledge in regards to learning plans and why we have them as teachers. So if you have a look at the teaching and learning cycle, you can see that as a teacher, we need to plan our work, we need to teach, and then we need to assess. So we call that the teaching and learning cycle. So as part of our planning, we actually use our learning plans in the classroom to do that, and they are sourced from the curriculum, and we as teachers will write learning plans for each lesson that you will plan, and then as you get more experienced you'll find you'll swap to a different system. So when you go out on prac, you'll actually probably be asked to write learning plans for the lessons that you will teach, and your mentor teacher will check them and to ensure that you have appropriate outcomes, an appropriate introduction, a main body and conclusion. So that just gives you a bit of an overview in regards to the teaching and learning cycle, just a bit of a background, just so you know that we are doing learning plans because this is something that is practical and something that you will use when you're out on your pracs and also as a beginning teacher as well. So if we have another look about our planning, and you have a look at the cycle of intentional planning. So as a teacher, when you get your class, you often will observe the teachers, and this will happen when you're on observe the teachers. You won't observe the teachers, you'll observe the children. You will, as a teacher and a beginning teacher and a prac teacher, you will observe the children and you document a little bit about them, a little bit about some of the individual children in your class and some of the things that you observe in regards to them. And then you might do some assessments, and then you create your lesson plans that are developmentally appropriate, and then you implement the planned activities and you're monitoring progress and adapting instruction. Now just be aware that some children in your class may be on what is called an individual learning plan. Now this is a little bit different. So that's if a child may be on an extension activity or maybe on remedial work. So just be aware that there might be a little bit of difference when you're in your classroom. But your lesson plans or your learning plans are the ones that you write in regards to the main body of children that you will be teaching and for the lessons that you will be teaching. And this just gives you a bit of an overview in regards to your planning. And I know this assignment is a bit of a standalone, but when you get out into the classroom, you certainly will be looking a lot more closely and observing children and writing your learning plans into what you observe of the children in your classroom and also in regards to curriculum. And so just a little bit of background of why we have them. So the learning plans that you develop will be designed to communicate first and foremost to you as the teacher. And as a beginning teacher, I remember often sitting in front of a class and just having my learning plans down there on the floor, just so it was a little bit of a reminder what I was doing in my lesson, and I could always refer back to them if I had forgotten something or if I needed a little bit of a prompt. So they are there for you as the teacher to use as a resource, and also to show that you are thinking about what you are teaching and you have planned and you are organised in regards to your intent for those lessons. They're going to be your guide and your map for organising your materials and yourself for the purpose of helping your students achieve your intended learning outcomes. And of course the learning outcomes come from our curriculum and our materials. Those are your resources that you might be using in your lesson, and again you will see that on your learning plan in regards to the things that you will need for the particular lesson that you will be teaching. So they are actually really important. And as a beginning teacher, you will rely very heavily on learning plans in the classroom as you find your feet and as you move through the motions of teaching lessons. So that's a really good background of why we have our learning plans. So why are they important? Because sometimes we might think they're a bit cumbersome, and sometimes we spend a lot of time on learning plans. They're a vital component of the teaching learning process. Proper classrooms and planning will keep teachers organised and on track while teaching, and that's allowing them to teach more and to help students reach objectives more easily and guide the class learning. So they can also be reflected on as well when when you've taught your lesson. You can go back to your learning plan and see the things that you may have missed out or the things that you should have added in. So they're a really good document to have as a reflection as well, and also in regards to your planning for your lessons that you are going to teach. So I think I've mentioned this a little bit before. What do we use to inform our lesson plans? We use our curriculum. And for this assignment, for assignment 1B, this is going to be your early years learning framework, or the EYLF. And there you'll have it there, and you'll become quite familiar with that document as we move forward in our course. And as we move forward again to our last assignment, you'll also be looking at the Australian curriculum. But for this first assignment, we are going to concentrate on the outcomes that we see in the early years learning framework. And here they are here. So we have our learning outcome 1, children have a strong sense of identity. Learning outcome 2, children are connected with and contribute to their world. Learning outcome 3, children have a strong sense of well-being. Learning outcome 4, children are confident and involved learners. And learning outcome 5, children are effective communicators. So you will look at your activity and you'll look at your curriculum, and you will link up your outcomes with your activities that you are going to teach in your learning plan. So you need to make sure that there is a connection, that you are looking at your curriculum first and looking at the activities or activity that you are going to be teaching, and you're linking up the correct EYLF outcome. So that's really important, and in a classroom that would be the same as well. You'll be looking at your curriculum and that informs your learning plan. Now, when it comes to learning plans, there's lots of different formats, and they should all contain information a teacher needs to teach a lesson, and they also should be able to be used by another teacher if necessary. So if you are sick, I know when I'm in the classroom, if I'm sick, I have to create a very detailed learning plan, probably put more in than what I need to, just to make sure that my students are well looked after, and that teacher has as much information as they may need in teaching that lesson or for that day. So you can see for this assignment in particular, we've set out a template for you. So make sure that you are using that template, and that's the one that you will follow. And you need to be very particular and explicit in your instructions in your learning activity plan, because it's not just for yourself, it is also for a fellow teacher who may need to come into your classroom. So that's a really important thing to remember. Now, when you get out into the classroom, you may see different formats, so just be aware that they may change, but for this assignment, this is the learning activity plan that we will be using. And here it is here, and you've got your focus concepts, your resources and prompts, your curriculum connection, and your reference list. Now, obviously, when you're out in the classroom, you won't be including a reference list, but for this assignment, because we are in an academic institution, we are looking for references, and that's going to include also your SoundCloud recording and the references that you use in that as well. So just be aware that that needs to be included in your reference list as well. So I'm not going to talk for too much longer. I really would love to have you all on board in our live collaborate sessions, where we're going to discuss in a lot more detail assignment 1B. This is just a taster of learning plans, just to give you an idea of why we have them, and just a little bit of insight moving forward as a teacher, how you would use them in the classroom. So I hope it's been helpful. I really do look forward to having you on board next week in our collaborate sessions. Keep an eye out on the boards. We're going to have some palettes released very shortly, and I wish you all the best, and we will see you on the boards. Bye for now.